been recording on that shit.
I could do it again.
Go for it.
Hashtag it or explain the story again?
Explain the story again.
I wanted another hashtag toucan rant. And I spelled it TWO, hashtag TWOCANRAMT. So there's still only one hashtag toucan rant, and it's not even us.
Well, we could change our name. It's Toucan Ramped.
Ramped.
Yeah, that kind of works.
No, it doesn't.
Alright, fair enough.
Motherfuckers.
Welcome to Toucan Rant. We're just two toucans with two tall cans. One a brew, one an energy drink, who can rant because we're juiced up. I'm JD.
I'm Jeremy. Motherfuckers.
And we just got done recording our first toucan rant brief on Psy Superior's Hellblazer.
You should draw cartoon versions of us in briefs and put that up as a picture.
Alright. That hadn't crossed my mind. What I was gonna do was I was gonna take your illustrious poster over there with Constantine and the Superman thing, but have it be the toucan.
That would be cool.
His thing and having a cigarette. But you want us in briefs.
Or what if you drew Constantine in his briefs?
We might get banned from YouTube because we're not adhering to the community guidelines.
I'm not spouting
proper decency.
I'm not spouting fake news, motherfucker. I'm good.
But you were swearing within the first 30 seconds.
That's fine.
That's a big no-no.
They can put me behind a wall and you gotta be 18. No, they don't. It's all about the adverts. Maybe I don't want to show up on my kid's YouTube channels. He doesn't need to know about this.
That's
he wants to be on here, so that's kind of counterintuitive. Maybe we'll have to have like a Toucan Rant Junior.
Yeah. Well, then that puts weird analytics in. But fuck YouTube and their weird analytics.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm not talking about anything political. They're more worried about that than what I'm doing. Trust me.
There's a thing where if you have kids in the video, it does weird stuff.
We don't have anybody in the video. There's no video.
In the auditory bliss sphere that we emanate, you can't have kids in it.
I'm pretty sure if we were gonna get banned, we got banned the moment I talked about the dude either fucking the horse or getting fucked by the horse.
We're not quite sure which one it is, folks.
Pretty sure if anything's gonna get us banned, it's gonna be that.
Oh, you've read Slaughterhouse 5, Slaughterhouse 5.
Yeah, the Kurt Vonnegut?
Yeah. Did I tell you about that when I was in Korea and I used that book as teaching material?
Yeah, wow. That's a choice.
Yeah.
Did they get it?
Yeah, for the most part.
That book kind of fucked with my head.
Yeah. It was a lot of, I thought the first bit, the introduction or whatever, was how the book played out the entire time. And I was scrambling. Yeah, I found that out day one. I was like, oh, fuck. This is not how that book turns out. But it worked because I did summaries of everything and was able to explain it well enough, and the group was high level enough that they were actually able to grasp some of the writing. They didn't understand all the deep undertones or whatever, but even as an English speaker, it's kind of difficult. The one thing that was very confusing to actually have to talk about in class was, for some reason, one of the soldiers has a photograph of a chick getting railed by a horse.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I forgot about that.
Let
me guess. Your next one was Bukowski's Women.
No. That was definitely not. I think we went Fault in Our Stars next, which was a little bit easier.
Isn't that a movie?
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, I'm gonna rail against media for a minute, cause even though I consume media, but
specify media.
Fuck movies, fuck TV, fuck social media. Even though I'm now on the Twitter machine,
With his first tweet about Rampton.
But like I can't remember. Oh, well, there's like a quote in the Department of Truth, one of the things we're going to talk about tonight, where they're like, technology is literally brainwashing you. And it has. And if you look at our world right now, it's messed up. And I am a believer in a lot of crazy stuff, but I also have the belief that it's not probable. Like, so in the back of my head, like, I want Bigfoot to be real. It'd be really cool. It's super fun to think about and imagine and read about and get excited about. But I'm also 99% sure that that's not the case. But it's the 1% that keeps me looking. And I'm like rational enough to realize that. But there are some very irrational things that go around on media and like on TV and movies and social media that people take and run with and extrapolate upon. And like sometimes you get some funny memes and YouTube videos out of it, but then you have to look at like there is a population that believes it, which is also very much
disconcerting.
Right. One, two, something I believe we kind of glossed over in the first Department of Truth, but I can't really speak too much to that because I was not with my wits on it. But when I was rereading it, I read the second one and I'm like, I'm good. And then I'm like, no, I probably missed something in the first one. But like, there's talking about being disenfranchised and trying to make the world make sense to you or fit
Yeah, we
what
covered
you're
that.
comfortable with. Yeah. But like he's following these far right white supremacists. That's like how he ends up at the Flat Earth Convention.
They're not necessarily white supremacists. They're
Oh,
just
racists. They say they say racist.
do they?
Yeah.
I thought they were like hinting at they could possibly be racist because they had the something the founding elders of Zion was in there.
I don't know. They make a point of saying like all white men,
all smiley in their khakis and polos.
Like
and
first he goes to the
sunglasses.
Flat Earth Convention and he mentions it's mostly white and mostly men, but like when he goes into the inner sanctum of this group, there's a distinction between mostly and then it becomes all white, all men, other than the lady in red. But anyway, just to like there is some truth to that, and it's scary. Because there are people that probably maybe what this Department of Truth is really getting at. When you believe that stuff, then it becomes truth. And without saying it, like you can look out your window in the next couple weeks and you'll see that.
Dun dun dun.
I'm just saying, like it's already happening around us. But by the time this gets posted and you guys listen, it's happening. Like there are some crazy things going around that people are believing.
But do you think there's a difference between like you and I who are able to discern like to view things extremely skeptically and entertain the potential intrigue and possibility of these things while also being like rooted in some sort of sensibility, as opposed to people who don't even entertain these notions, and then once that thing pops up they just latch onto it because they haven't exercised the ability to look at things
Right.
objectively and subjectively.
Are you asking if I think that's the problem?
Yeah.
Yes, that is 100% the problem. And I've seen it firsthand in someone this week where all of a sudden, like, something changed and, like, there was just this massive belief. And I'm like, there's no rational, like, thought. It just becomes hyper focused on this one thing. And you only read the stuff that supports your views. And you only read the stuff that makes sense to you, and you become very, very tunnel vision towards whatever this is. Where I don't know, I don't like to take a side on stuff. Like I know we have two can rant and like the basis of this is us debating stuff, but at the same time, like both of us have taken different views that we may not 100% agree with just to entertain it, just to get the conversation out there, because you have to look at it from like multiple different angles and levels.
All except Side Superior's X-Force. Our lines are pretty drawn on that.
Dude, that was awesome. I don't care what anybody says. It sucked so bad. It was awesome. That's one of those, like, that's kind of like when we talked about death metal, where you're like, this sucks. And I'm like, this is like a childhood, like, just let your imagination run wild. Just start throwing shit.
That
like,
was on
literal shit at the walls.
That was the second take, though.
And if you take a step back of reading it,
yeah,
for both of us,
the first time we talked about it, I thought it was pretty cool, and you were like, "Oh, it's not so good." And then the second time we talked about it, you're like, "This is the bee's knees."
Yeah, because yes, because again, if you have to look at something and you have to evaluate it and take it for what it is, and not. Maybe that's the part that's missing. And when you have that tunnel vision, you don't actually take a step back and be like, okay, I'm in the real rational world now. Does this actually make sense? Like, I can live in Bigfoot land all day. Love it. But, like, I come back to reality and I'm like, well, this isn't, like, I'm not, like, gearing up down here, getting ready to go out in the woods and fucking find this fucker. Like, I'm not.
Which is kind of a disappointment, but you gotta do you, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's just. Like,
you're just having me do it for you.
I honestly think it's I honestly think it's kind of like when you're a kid, like you can just you don't have to actually think rationally, and you can just run wild in your head. And like for me, I do that a lot now. Is like, I don't want to say coping mechanism, but like it's an escape. It's a way to relax. It's a way to look at something. And then I just take that stance with everything in my life, where I'm going to be like, all right, let's take a step back. Like, you're screaming at me about this and you're screaming at me about this. And 99% of the time, the reality usually lies in between. Like, I do work where I have to listen to, we need this, and the other people are like, no, we need this, and this sucks so bad, and this is so great. And usually it like lies somewhere in between. It always does. Like, everybody exaggerates shit. I exaggerate shit.
Really?
Yes.
Shit.
My brief was extremely exaggerated. But
you don't say that. That'll detract people from.
I mean, it was the greatest fucking thing ever.
There you go.
I exaggerated so that you would get hooked.
Yeah.
That was my thing. 'Cause it is fucking great. Anyway,
not from what I read, your recanting of the tale and reasons for why it's good seemed to fit. I just fell off because you stopped hooking me up with them.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm bad at that. I always forget like what I've given you, what I haven't. Ugh.
Yeah, it's all good. So you want to segue into Department of Truth number 2?
You want to start with Department of Truth? Yeah, we can start with Department of Truth. So now we're getting into like the meat of it. What were your first impressions?
My first impressions was I was very excited to be able to find it on Kindle for 99 cents because I had a $3 off promotion for some reason. I have zero clue.
Shit, that's nice.
Yeah, it was weird, but it was nice. But it was also weird because when I searched the Department of Truth, what I got was the Department of Truth number 1 and number 4. It's like, all right, did I miss something in like the month that I hadn't read it?
Yeah.
Did it become like a bi-weekly? And for some reason, they're just promoting number 4 that comes out in 2 months, and so I had to go and look for number 2. But when I read number 2. I read it quickly because I was just trying to power through it to get back to writing for the game and shit. But I really, really liked it. And I kind of wish I would have had a physical copy because I wasn't so keen on the art the first time. Like, it fit, it worked, but it didn't, I don't know, grasp me the same way as some other stuff that we've read, and like the art style that speaks to me. But this one, some of those panels and what they were showing and how they were depicted, and the weird like spray paint dripping effect that they have going on in the peripheries of all the panels is like masterfully done. It fits the whole theme entirely, considering that like you're trying to decipher what is truth, what is fiction, and then the very fact that it's kind of blurry and uncertain just adds to that overall thematic element that Tinian, and who's the artist? It's kind of shitty to be praising the artist and not know Simmons. Yeah.
Yep, Martin Simmons.
Yeah, he's good. It fits. I know that's one of the things that we always talk about is what does the art fit the story, and these two are quite unified.
I agree with that sentiment as well. I felt like the art definitely the first book, I just liked the art. I liked it immediately. I know you had, so you were kind of, but like now that you're getting into the meat of it and you're starting to delve into this world, it, like you said, it really does fit the overall story. If it was like Scotty Young, really cartoony, it probably would be like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
but it might be cool to see.
it wouldn't jive as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was some of those like 2-page spreads that I was really disappointed that I didn't have it physically, because with the camera you gotta like zoom in and stuff, and that detracted from the overall feel.
How did that work with like, because there's a lot of panels in this book. I've noticed it goes across the 2 pages and doesn't go all the way down one and then all the way down the left and then all the way down the right. Does it show
It's a splash.
It is, okay.
It shows as a splash.
All right.
Yeah. But then that's where you gotta like
zoom in, yeah.
And the script is kind of small.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talking, but the talking in this doesn't seem unnecessary for the most part. It's always moving forward. It's not filler words for the sake of having people talk to fill up space because the art is sketchy or rushed, or the person just wants to flex on their writing skills but not actually do anything. Yeah, just vamping.
Yeah.
For the sake of vamping.
And I feel like they had a lot of opportunity to do that and they didn't. Like you're introduced to a lot of, 4 different characters. You got his husband, Hunky, Tinfoil Hat, Dr. Tinfoil, and
Cybergirl.
Yeah, she has a name. I can't remember her name.
Frank.
Yep, Frankie. Oh no, Frank. Sorry,
it's just Frank.
It's just Frank.
So maybe it's not even a girl.
I think it's a girl. They say she.
Oh, she seems nice. Oh, yeah, but then that. Okay, yeah, Frank. The art's ambiguous.
Yeah, but I mean, they could have went into like a whole deep dive there and like had like, "Hi, I'm Frank, and I do X, Y, and Z, and this is great," and then move on to something completely unrelated to it.
Yeah. But yeah, and then even in that panel, instead of her just like flipping them off, she could have been saying something like, "Nice specs, boomer," or
True.
Like they have a tendency to do in almost every other book. Or not every other book, like in the main two. Like, I think Bendis is one who's notorious for that.
He, or at least this book, like, I don't know, I feel like her not saying something and her attitude, and especially her being, like, scrolling the internet. Like, you got your middle-aged fat dude sitting and watching TV, Hunky, right? And he's watching for the conspiracies there.
Is that really his name, Hunky? I thought it was like a joke.
I thought so too, but that's the only name I could find, so that's what I'm going to refer to him as. And then you got Dr. Tinfoil Hat, and he's like the old school, like, newspaper, print, pictures, tinfoil hat, because he doesn't trust the media. It changes. You can never trust them, and you never know if it's actually a conspiracy or if it's just kids fucking with shit on Wikipedia.
Yeah, I actually wanted to jump in on that.
Okay.
That's a really interesting point to bring up in this world, because once reality changes, would the newspaper articles change as well? Or once it's printed, is it always like always in existence in that rendition of the story that's told? And so then you'd have like two juxtaposing pieces of paper. Like is having the paper trail more succinct at following the clues than the digital thing that they're like insinuating?
I think that's why Dr. Tinfoil Hat Man doesn't like the doesn't. I think that was kind of the point he was alluding to is the traceability. One, two. That's an interesting point you bring up just in our world and how things can change and they're not necessarily documented on print, so then you don't see those changes.
But like you would believe like if you were given a subject and you had a digital version and a physical copy of it. Yeah, I would probably be more inclined to believe the physical copy as opposed to like something digitally.
I agree.
Like if it was like historical fact or whatever.
There's more importance and permanence to something in print as opposed to digital.
We'll even like we'll narrow it down to like the whole concept of like the Wikipedia. Like if you were to find a physical printed copy of the encyclopedia on a topic, I would be more inclined to believe that than the Wikipedia entry.
Well, I agree. I think, but and it's weird in our day and age where, what's the first thing you do? You Google it and you see what comes up. Most of the time, Wikipedia. If you're searching what something is or definitions, you're gonna either get a digital dictionary or you're gonna get a digital Wikipedia entry, and like people just it's very easy to make an entry, right? You go, you type it up. You can be a blogger. You can go and you can type up your own articles and away you go and you hit, send it out on the internet and you're good. But like to actually, I agree with you, but like to actually print a book, like you have to, you write it and then it's edited and then other people look at it and it's edited and then it goes to a printing press and then you get a copy made and then you go back and you revise it again, and like there is a lot of effort put into making something for print, even like a newspaper.
But there it's a slippery slope then, or though when you're talking about the newspaper printing and the digital media, there's problems with both of them, because if you print a story, then it has gone through the editing, like it's been internally analyzed to make sure it's factual, because you don't want to have to print a retraction about a prior statement. But when you're talking about something that's fluid and constantly moving, there are going to be errors that occur in it. So if they say something in a printed version in the past, it's not going to align with all the actual facts that come out at the end.
Right.
Where digital stuff has a tendency to, by virtue of it being able to be edited on the fly, can meld with the actual facts and truths that are occurring at the same time. But at the same time, because of the social media shit that happens, nobody reads past the initial outrage when there is an actual retraction.
Or they just read the headline. But also, to that point, okay, so like when you, and I'm not saying that because there are newspapers who have digital newspapers and they go through the checks and balances, but like by inherently having a writer and an editor, you're putting something through a check and balance system versus me going on the internet and starting to write my manifesto. Like there's nobody stopping me. It's the wild, wild west. So you can do whatever you want. But then, and this is interesting if you think about it too, now we're seeing a crackdown on this type of stuff where these social media companies and different groups are mainly social media. YouTube, I guess, is its own thing, but they're starting to now crack down on they're putting a check and balance system in place, And people
You mean censoring?
Right. People are railing fucking against it. Is a writer being censored? Like, if I wrote an article of just complete nonsense bullshit, the editor at a newspaper is going to be like, yeah, we're not printing that. Like, there's a certain amount of integrity that is upheld by these publishers, these printers, as opposed to me on my blogging site doing whatever I want, or me messing with Wikipedia and it stays switched for an hour and 500 people see it and all of a sudden they go and run with it. Like,
so you're a fan of gatekeeping?
to a point. Like, in certain things. But that goes back to your, do I trust Wiki? Which do you trust more? Would you trust Wikipedia or would you trust a printed encyclopedia?
You could just argue, like, would you, like, you have to go to a doctor. Are you going to trust the one that's got the PhD on their wall, or are you going to believe the one who's got, like, a written note that says they are a doctor?
Right.
Yeah.
But that doctor went through a check and balance system to get that.
You have to have the credentials. You have to be verifiable.
Right. I don't think that that is a bad thing in some instances. Now, if what we're doing is not affecting anything around us, right? And if YouTube came down and said, we don't like what you're saying, we're censoring you. You guys can't post on YouTube anymore. Unless they gave me like a really good reason as to what I'm spreading as lies or making people believe or people are hurting themselves or putting people in danger, I don't see why I should be censored.
Right, yeah.
To a point.
Well, it depends. The argument that the people with the censor and the whole gatekeeper and the fuck, what do they call it? There's like a specific term. It's like freelance journalism.
Okay. You want me to look it up?
No, well, yeah, you can look it up. What the fuck was Hunter S. Thompson? What was he? He was
Gonzo.
called. Yeah, Gonzo journalism. That might be closer to what it is, but like the people who are arguing about gatekeepers and the censorship that occurs is that they're not part of the whole big media corporation, so their voices are getting silenced because they are speaking truth to power, and power doesn't like them like bringing up these facts. They're not easily controlled, and so what they're saying goes against the overarching narrative that is being expelled by the people who are in the pockets. Your mainstream media, your big players on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like the Hunky talks about it. Like he's talking he's pretty much insinuating the people, the radio personalities that spew conspiracy theories. Like he's got nicknames for all of them.
Right.
And that's who he's talking to, and that's who he's paying attention to seeing like what certain trends are ebbing and flowing with it.
That's going to get beliefs that brings it into reality in this case. Which is, I mean, quite the commentary on our world right now.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So, I know that's interesting. The Gonzo journalism thing, that intrigues me. I'm probably going to dive down that hole for a while later.
Yeah, that's not the right word. I can't remember what the fuck they ascribe, what term they ascribe to themselves.
Well, I mean, it kind of is. It's a style of journalism that is written without claims of objectivity, often including the reporter as part of the story via first-person narrative. You know, it's very much I feel, I think type stuff. It's an approach, well, and they talk about accuracy. It involves an approach to accuracy that concerns the reporting of personal experiences and emotions instead of traditional journalism, which favors a detached style and relies on facts or quotes that can be verified by third parties.
Okay, so maybe I pulled out the correct term out of my ass. That these
Yeah,
people who
yeah.
have millions of fucking followers can't even actually articulate properly of themselves.
I mean, I'm very much a fan of the Gonzo journalism stuff. Like, I can think of stuff that I've read where it's very much like that, mainly conspiracy stuff. But um, again, I can like, I don't know. To me, like, I don't understand why people just go with one source. Like, if you're only looking at one source, like, what picture are you painting?
Well,
Not only that, but like, there's times like I start going down one hole, and like I do all this research in this, and I'm like really invested in like this one website or this one Wikipedia hole or YouTube hole, and then all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, what's that over there? And like it just makes that what I was doing that much better. You know, I'm trying not to go political with this, but like there's things where if you fan out and you learn and you look at lots of different sources and look at the issue from lots of different angles, like you can learn so much more and it's much more enjoyable. Like like I'll go back to Bigfoot. That's easy for me. So you got your flesh and blood Bigfoot people, right? Like he's a real thing. But then you go down this rabbit hole of like maybe he's mystical, maybe he's like a fairy or a gnome or something like that. Like a really big fucking gnome, but like maybe he's something like that. And then there's these lights and like so much cool shit. Like if you want to live in Fantasyland, go check that shit out. Read the first volume of Where the Footprints End. Or no. Yeah, I think it's called Where the Footprints End. It's very good. I want to look that up. Also, there's another book coming out which is very, very good too.
but the thing about if we talk about just getting news and having one site, if you are a fan of the gatekeeping notion and being certified, verified, and authenticated, having one news source should be the correct move because they are reputable. They're looking at things objectively, not subjectively. They're giving all the facts that you need, and that should be the end of the story. You shouldn't need to have outside views of it.
But that's not what they do. They give their opinions on the facts, which is the fallacy of like
The system
yeah,
of the gatekeeping system.
once you say I think or you start going no, I think it's a fallacy of man. Like there's a bias on everything.
Right.
That's the human element. The human element puts the bias into it.
Yeah,
Take that out, and if it was just a computer spitting out information and another computer was reading it, there's no bias there.
but people can be objective.
Right. But it takes an actual thought to do that. And people don't want to do that.
Right.
I don't get that. Sorry.
Well,
that
because
wasn't the greatest tangent.
you were just talking about how it's how people get into their echo chambers. It's so much easier to be reading stuff that you agree with.
Which goes back to the Department of Truth, and they need to create a world that makes sense to them and everything's okay and it fits their view.
All right. So, what do you think of Starman?
Pentagram Man? Very, very, very...
No, isn't he called Starface?
Is it? I thought it was... Fuck. I kept
that?
calling him Pentagram Face. You're probably right. I mean, if it is Starface or Pentagram Face, either way, I don't think it's... Yeah,
He
it's
does have
Starface.
he does have an inverted pentagram on his.
Yeah, but
face.
you're right. Starface, I don't know. The name Pentagram Man wasn't a very good name either. But
Starface is fantastic, man.
I'm sure it'll get better. Like he's probably got a name.
Get better. That was the shit that had me hooked in this one.
The name? Or
No, that
him?
entity.
The entity is cool. I'm just saying the name kind of sucks.
Alright, so there was a discrepancy that kind of like is similar equates to this was when we were talking about Justice League Dark.
Yep.
And when they introduced the Upside Down Man. and how I thought the name was really, really stupid.
Yeah, not like that.
And I still think the name for him is really, really stupid. But that was in like a superhero construct.
Right.
Superhero world. This is taking place in the real world. And Upside Down Man was like kind of scary, but like not that terrifying. But this guy, the Starman? Starface, yeah, fuck. I'm already thinking superhero comics. Yeah, Starface. This is the name that Cole Turner gave this entity as a kid.
I was just gonna say, I actually think I'm gonna redact my statement, and it is pretty cool because in a conspiracy theory sense, and again, a 4-year-old kid, yeah, makes sense.
And yeah, just so this is straight horror, like him talking to this entity. Oh, it's fucking like cutting a baby up on a fucking kitchen table on a plate with a knife and fork.
The table also had a very, very nice tablecloth. Just saying. It was a nice touch.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Can't argue with that fact. They used a screen tone for that. That wasn't actually drawn out.
I'm just saying it looked cool.
Yeah.
It was a nice touch.
But then so then you got Dude Man's Simmons awesome eerie art style. And then you cut to the child's rendition of what this monstrosity looks like.
Oh, you're talking about when the title
kids,
page?
Yeah, the title page, the kid's drawing of it.
Yep.
And like, I can imagine if you were a parent and you saw your kid who was like, how old is he? Like 6 maybe?
No, it says he's 4. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when he's talking to his husband, he mentions he's 4.
Yeah, like that would scare the shit out of the most badass motherfucker in the world. If that's what a 4-year-old says that they saw.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 4.
No, I'd go with that. I was gonna go 4, 6, between 4 and 6.
Yeah, that's actually when I thought he's, shit, I don't know. I think it's when he recants the story. I don't know, it's not that important. 4 or 6, may as well be the same age.
Although,
did you?
Because we were talking about tablecloths, quick.
Yep.
There's a pretty long segment. I'm only noticing this by flipping through it. Is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
There's a lot of
7 pages.
Checkerboard tablecloth.
Yeah. A lot.
And it's the same tablecloth he's eating at. So, I don't know. Okay, I'll drop it now. So,
like it's hot.
Yeah. So the one thing, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier when we were off mic. Like I was like, I feel like this is going in a very obvious direction. Do you think he's dreaming all of this?
No. Not at all. I think that's where the very interesting aspect of it is. Like when they're talking about...
At the end, he literally screams he wants to wake up.
Yeah, it's PTSD. Traumatic. He thinks he's dreaming it, but he's not actually dreaming it. They say he's losing it.
Okay, fair enough. Then as long as it's not that. It just crossed my mind, and then with the tablecloth, like going back... being the same back and forth, like is he in reality, is he not in reality? But I guess losing touch with reality, that's a thing. And it's important to note too, like he sees the end of the world, the edge of the world, something that's complete bullshit, but because enough people believe it, it is a thing. And he basically has, I think how Ruby phrases it as like the bottom has been dropped out from beneath you. We need to talk. and him spiraling into this psychotic state, probably similar to what he went through when he saw Starman the first time. That makes sense as like a PTSD thing.
Yeah,
you're right. Thank you. That made me appreciate this comic a little more now.
No,
because I was like, if this is going where I think it's going, like this is not going to be that great.
nah, because like they were talking about how everything is shifting, like by the. Because we already have established in the first issue, it's established that the what people believe has a tendency to change how reality actually functions. Like if the flat earthers would have won, then suddenly the Earth would in fact have been flat the entire time, and all the media had been lying, and all the governments and scientists and blah 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 blah. So what actually, like, there is a chance that this Starman entity actually does exist, but because the Satanic Panic was shown to be false, it doesn't exist in the same sense as it did back then, but it still existed, and it's trying to get back into this world.
Right, and this little girl who saw the same person as him, which throws him into even more of a tailspin.
Because the cycle is starting again.
Right.
But they're trying to curtail what kind of cycles occur.
Right. So that's the thing. Like, it's never really revealed what the Department of Truth does in the first one. You just know it's led by Lee Harvey Oswald.
And that was interesting. But which Lee Harvey Oswald?
Right.
Was it the one on the grassy knoll, or was it the Patsy?
Right.
I dug that.
Yeah, that was cool. I don't know if they did it on purpose, but the fact that his right hand agent man, right hand woman, his name is Ruby.
Is it?
Yep. Her name is Ruby. That's who he goes to breakfast with. I don't know if it's a nod at Jack Ruby or not, but
Is that who shot him?
Yep.
Oh, they fucking bring that up in here too.
Yep.
Like verbatim.
Yep.
While they're sitting at the.
Yep. Yep.
He's probably not the one killed by Jack Ruby. Jackie Ruby? Fuck.
Is she relation to the Jack Ruby?
She's too young to probably be in there, but could be relation, yeah.
I mean, that'd be interesting. They share, that's not too uncommon for people, agents, call each other by their last name.
Maybe it's a mantle or a code name, like 007.
Could be. Like, Moneypenny.
Yeah. Or Q.
Q. That's the one I wanted, not Moneypenny.
Well, Moneypenny is fits in that same category.
I think that's her name. No? All right. Well, now we're on a rant.
It's a tangent. This is a tangent, not a rant. Yeah, we might have to change our name to Toucan Tangent. It doesn't have the same ring.
So, I don't care.
We're
using rant. Fuck all y'all.
Or ramped.
Yeah, ramped.
I really liked their conversation
hold on,
about pancakes. No, that's pretty much it.
No, but we have to establish that the Department of Truth, like, we were talking about what they actually do, because it wasn't actually established in the first one. And the second one, we're starting to understand that they seem to be the ones who try to curtail the bullshit from getting out and reality being changed. Essentially. Is the vibe I'm getting.
I agree with that assessment.
Pancakes.
No, I just like the exchange about the pancakes. Like her demeanor is awesome. He's like, wow, these are really good pancakes. And she's like, well, I wouldn't waste my time giving you shitty pancakes.
Yeah, their banter back and forth is very interesting. Like, from the time, like, she shows up at the apartment to the end. Like, it's also interesting, like, they get to the root of his problem. Like, if this stuff can actually happen with enough believers, that has a real impact on my life because of Starface, right? And she's like, oh, so you want to know? And he's like, no, I need to know, which is very interesting. And then obviously at the end we find out that Starface is probably gonna come back.
Or has come back.
Right. And he's gonna have to deal with it. I love Dr. Tinfoil too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to debrief and knock down this wall because I have all these strings going around my room, and I need a whole nother department for whatever else he's got going on.
And it's interesting that she only has clearance to 11 floors. That's rock bottom.
They don't. She just says there's 12 floors that she knows of, but I only have clearance down to here.
Or maybe she's on 12.
Well, I don't know, but we don't know how many floors there are.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying that it insinuates that there are more than 12 floors.
Also,
12 levels deep.
Shout out for the reptilian conspiracy theory brought up in this.
Damn hard to kill.
Yep. Fucking loved that. I mean, we had reptilians, aliens, the JFK assassination, Starface.
Satanic Panic.
Yep. This shit's awesome, man. Also, like, I'm not saying, like, we grew up during the heyday, but, like, there's some cool stuff that, like, I kind of forgot about from, like, when we were younger, you know?
Oh, we had, like, variations of the Satanic Panic just real recently.
Yeah.
Like, variations. You know who I'm talking about?
I mean, would Slender Man be one of them?
Yep, 100%.
Yep. And that was pretty close to home for us.
Yeah, Kenosha. Right.
Oh,
yeah.
It's closer than that.
I
don't think it's Kenosha.
Pretty sure it was Kenosha.
I don't know. It was close by. Close enough.
So there was that one. And then, do you remember the great year of 2000? Was it 2018? With the clown epidemic?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that one.
Where everybody was seeing clowns.
Right.
Terrorizing their neighborhoods. The kids were scared. They kept repeating the fact that they'd seen these clowns and they were doing nefarious things and they were terrified to go out in public.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like a lot of clowns lost their jobs, man.
Yeah, there were petitions.
I feel bad for the clowns.
And then that's right when it came out too. I really think it was
fuck yeah.
It was a long con.
All right, conspiracy. I mean, people believe... Never mind. Anyway, definitely a long con. There's that. I mean, we went through the whole satanic music shit. Not so much as in, like, the 80s, but, like, that still was around in the 90s and 2000s. I mean, the satanic thing comes up a lot.
Yeah.
I also remember when I was, like, real young, there was, like, a vampire cult in the area, too.
Sweet.
Supposedly. I remember my mom talking about that shit. That freaked me out. Not as much as OJ, but...
You were freaked out by OJ?
Oh, yeah, I shouldn't have said that.
Ooh. Yeah. We're gonna have to delve into that sometime.
No, I remember very, very vividly, like, watching them chase him down in his Ford Bronco. Like, I remember the whole fucking thing. And I just remember, like... I don't think I ever saw him get caught, so I was like, he's just going to drive to my house and kill me. It was a real fear. Mind you, I was pretty young at the time, so fuck y'all.
So that's...
And motherfuckers be scared of him now, so there. Now that he's out on the loose, now that the juice is loose. That's his saying. He says it, not me. Do not credit me with that.
That's a catchy slogan. Juice is loose.
But yeah, this is a good book. If you're not reading this, fuck you.
Yeah, I think I might have to take back what I had said about what he was going to be doing with the book when you had questioned what I thought was going to happen. And I thought he was just going to be like surface level and kind of spew propaganda jargon, clickbait, kind of PC. whatever
rehash
notions,
the same old conspiracy
like
theories.
but not actually delve into them or alter what they were, and always try to point the blame at whoever the current like hot topic trigger word would be.
No, he's mixing in the classics, like the stuff that everybody likes in conspiracy theories. I mean, JFK, that's huge. I'm even interested in that. But also like the Starface thing, like that's original, it's new, but it fits in with older conspiracy theories like we just kind of went through. But we're missing like the lady in red. We didn't talk about her yet. I almost moved on, but like that's fucking huge.
Yeah. The last panel with her in it, that was
right.
I was pissed that was the last page.
I mean, it's a direct quote from the first book when she's like, "Did you see it? You have to see it." Right? I think that's what she said. Do you see?
It's important that you see.
Yep.
And just, I don't know, that image hits me like
it's fucking creepy
on the spine, man.
Yeah, it's fucking creepy. The X's for eyes.
Yeah, the X's for eyes, and the fact that it's like an after image, like mirage of like her actually like shaking in reality.
Oh,
kind of thing.
Yep.
And then I don't know, that image for some reason like sends shivers down my spine just looking at it.
I mean, it sends shivers down Cole's spine.
Yeah, and then he sees because
they put it together. The devil is coming for you.
Yeah, because he talked about it.
Yep. Took how many years? We really don't know how old Cole is, but we can at least assume he's in his 20s.
Yeah. All right.
So that is Department of Truth. Pick that shit up. Pick everything up we talk about, except for X-Force, apparently.
Well, unless you like hot trash.
I like hot garbage. I love me some hot garbage.
All right.
All right, so.
Smoke break quick?
Yeah, we can do that. Yep. We can do that. Clack all I want, motherfucker. Makes it sound like I know what I'm doing.
It sounds professional.
Yeah. I hear it all the time on Rogan.
Oh. Well, doesn't he have like somebody else doing it for him?
Yeah, Jamie, young Jamie.
Yeah. Always looking up all the videos that they watch, and it's very annoying when you listen to just the audio version of it.
I saw somebody do like an impression of young Jamie, like a mock interview with him, like somebody was pretending to be him. I guess that's a mock interview, but like just like, yeah, you know, I spend most of my days just like trying to think of what Joe might ask me to look up, and you know, do you need a picture of a volcano? I got your volcano. Like, he's just super hyped up or whatever. I don't know. I don't listen enough to Rogan because I don't like his interviewing style.
Oh, you hear he's in some big controversy right now?
About what?
He had Alex Jones on again.
Oh, sweet. I'm listening to that.
And people were pissed off because Alex Jones got deplatformed on virtually everything. YouTube, Spotify, Twitter, Facebook, probably Stitcher. Like, InfoWars like is banned from everywhere.
Whoa.
And then Joe Rogan, who signed like 1 million, billion, some crazy astronomical number deal with Spotify.
Yep.
And he made it clear in his terms that he was not going to be censoring who he had on his show. Carried through with his promise, and some people are very angry about him.
I'm listening to that one.
Giving this guy a platform again.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But you like the song I sent you?
Yes. Is he? Let me. Have you watched the Rogan yet or no?
No. I listened.
I was gonna ask if he talks about turning the frogs gay.
No. He probably does something in there. I only listen
There
to
are
like
so many great sound drops from that guy. Like that is something I aspire we need to have. Like I want to get a drop machine where we can just like find all sorts of cool stuff and just click and all of a sudden we get a sound effect. Like I want that so bad.
well, that's all that the Alex Jones as an indie folk song is sound bites.
Yep.
Put to like some weird auto-tuned hipster folky person singing.
And it is awesome.
Yeah.
That made my day. And then finding Isles, which was pretty cool. I liked them. You apparently did not.
That was
That band.
No,
yeah.
I liked it. I just didn't. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to be like getting from it. I liked his voice, the song. It was like these boots are made for walking.
Yeah, oh, dude, there's like 3 or 4 songs on that video that I sent you.
Oh, I didn't listen to all of it because I was in the van sitting at a mill in the middle of the ghetto and wasn't really sure what you wanted me to be getting from.
No, I just was. That's what popped up as a recommended video after what you sent me, and I was like, it's the NPR Tiny Desk series, Isles, ISLES, and it's clearly British, but like it's pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah. Well, no. Now that I know what you were trying to get with it, like yeah. But I thought there was supposed to be some correlation between the two, and I was missing it entirely.
Maybe I was secretly saying, see, I can like new music.
Oh. It's a deep cut. All I've been listening to is punk.
Yeah, ditto. A lot of Dead Kennedys. And whatever pops up on the station. Oh, dude, you should look up Jim Carroll. The Jim Carroll Band, the only song, People Who Died. It's a cool song. The rest of it I'm not really a fan of, but it popped up on my thing one day, and it's a fucking catchy tune. It's way too long, like he repeats most of his verses twice, but like, I don't know. He's got an interesting voice, and I guess that's like his standout hit off that album, and from what I could see, that was his only album, but...
Alright, well, it's saved for later.
Alright, so now you got your music tune skis, feather fluffers. Now we move back into the meat.
I missed the entire beginning part of our intro.
What intro? The feather fluffers?
Yeah, I didn't say it this time.
I just figured because I yelled motherfuckers, you were like, alright, good enough.
No, it fits.
I don't know if our fans, if they're out there, want to be known as feather fluffers.
Well, it kind of, the idea came from, well, it's obviously motherfuckers.
Right.
But I don't think we can just be calling people motherfuckers. Especially if we're doing a YouTube thing. You're not allowed to swear within the first 30 seconds.
Oh.
So,
oh, shit.
So, well, no, that's why we've been doing those soft openings. Because
you can edit it out.
They seem pretty chill.
That's probably the first sound drop I need is a bleeping. Mother bleep.
And there's nice alliteration in it. Feather fluffers.
I know, but I just think of a fluffer in like the porn sense, and then I'm like, do they really want to be fluffers?
Maybe that's their gig. Why are you job shaming?
I'm not. Maybe we have a whole untapped audience.
But that's what birds do. They fluff their feathers. They preen themselves to look more presentable and attractive.
Or badass,
exactly.
Like, I'm gonna fucking kick your ass.
Exactly.
Alright,
so and then the other thing was Scooty Young's Fuck Fairyland. He switches all the swear words with very cutesy words, and I think that is adorable and hilarious.
Fair point.
Like muffin fluffer or...
Yeah. Alright, so feather fluffers it is. You guys don't have a choice. We decide.
Well, no,
you
can change it if you come up with something better, but...
It's gotta be good.
Yeah.
I'll be the judge.
Oh, that's a terrible, terrible plan. Like, it could be almost anything. And as long as it makes him chuckle, it'll be okay.
It'll be a new thing every week. We finally have an intro that we can say and most of the time remember. And then we just throw this curveball in. Oh, we're changing what we call you guys.
We're going to have the Jeopardy wheel at the beginning of every episode.
Oh, can we get a wheel? We need a wheel. Like, we may as well be like the morning drive zoo.
We were going to have a wheel for the end of the show where we, like, put a bunch of topics that we would hypothetically talk about if we couldn't figure out what we're going to talk about, or it could have been like the floating random space where we would have a thing, and we'd have the wheel, and we'd spin it at the end, and then we'd talk about whatever it came up on. It was an idea that was proposed, like, in the beginning, and I'm, by your facial expression, I think you don't remember
that conversation at all.
That was episode 1. Episode 1 was a little bit.
I mean, I vaguely remember how we came up with the idea. I mean, I remember slamming beers, and I remember like, yeah, that'd be funny to do that. Like, you could do a whole thing, and then the next week you're like, yeah, we should do that, and I'm like, what? Can you fill in the blanks there for me? All right, so now I'm gonna be fluffing up. I don't know. I was gonna go somewhere with that, and I totally lost my steam.
Commit.
I lost my train of thought.
Oh.
Norse mythology, guys. How the world came to be, and the world going to ashes around us. You better figure out how it came to be, so we can put her back together.
Ragnarok is brewing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Who's Odin in this sense in our world?
Trump, for sure.
Yeah.
He's the All Father.
There's going to be a lot of orange little people running around.
No, you could go with Trump as Loki. That would be a pretty apt comparison.
Yeah, and then the shadow government is Odin, right? We can all agree on that because the shadow government controls all.
Okay. Well, no, and like
what was that one thing? All your base now belong to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
All your base belong to us.
Belong. Yep.
Okay. What was that pull from? Why?
Well, I was just thinking like some weird catchphrase that nobody understands, but maybe like unleashes the beasts, the Valkyries from the depths below to come up and just fucking not terrorize, but just like smite everything in sight. Like, you know, the shadow government. And I just like, I'm like, what's a random thing? And then I'm thinking, I'm like, what a simpler time. Like, yeah. YouTube wasn't there.
Yeah, that was a 90s game.
Yeah, I mean, I remember going to like weird sites and watching a lot of random videos, but it was never YouTube.
No, I think YouTube existed then. It didn't have its prevalence though.
Maybe when we were like later in high school, but like when we first started hanging out and you had the internet and I did not, and you were just like, look at all this cool stuff, and I was like, oh my god.
But I didn't really start using YouTube until I know when we were in college I used it, because I used it to figure out video editing shit. And that's when it had been gaining prevalence. But I really started using it like 2011. And now I use it pretty much every day.
Yeah. YouTube is great.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Norse mythology.
Yeah.
We keep going on random tangents. Not a problem. All right. So we got 2 stories on the docket, right?
Correct.
And I got to do the first one because you said fuck the first one. So the first one is the Master Builder. And he is a builder of masters.
And he's a stranger.
Yes. He shows up in the house of Odin. In Odin's house. Whose house? Odin's house. So basically, like, now they have their world, right? And there's shit going down. And they're like, oh, shit, son, we got to figure out how to build us a fortress. So they pulled a Trump and built a wall. Just kidding. But they are building a wall.
So Odin. Trump is Odin. Fuck.
we're gonna get tagged and taken down, man. That's one downside. Like you're trying to have fun with something, and then you're gonna get tagged as like false, fake news, and they're gonna take you down. Anyway, so in all reality, Thor was gone, and Thor's the badass motherfucker. He's the Bamf of the of Asgard, and there's no one there to protect it. And they were like, we need a wall. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna build it so tall and so thick. So tall that a frost giant can't come over it, and so thick a troll can't smash his way through it like Donkey Kong. But they're like, how are we gonna do it? It's gonna take forever. Which, in my mind, I got a problem with that. I mean, they're gods, right? But yeah. Gods in a different sense, I guess.
I got a quick thing in there. So, like, what was that ring that they had?
Oh, Odin's ring?
Yeah, that the dwarves made for him.
Just give me a second. I
still
have it here.
Because that thing had magical properties where you could, like, separate it from its own self and, like, create duplicates.
No. It was Draupnir, and every 9th night it produces 8 more rings like it that Odin can do as he sees fits.
So every 9th night, but each ring then would multiply. So that's a...
No, it made it sound like only the golden arm ring, Draupnir, would then...
But it made a duplicate of itself.
No, it doesn't say a duplicate, it just says 8 more rings like it. Oh, well, yeah, like it, I don't know.
Yeah, so it would technically still have the property. That's how I interpreted that every time Draupnir dropped more of itself, those ones also had the same properties and thusly propagated.
Okay, so where are you going with this then?
So he's got this magic ring that every 9th night makes more of itself.
Right.
Couldn't you just put those all around Asgard and have an ever-increasing wall of protection?
I mean, that'd be kind of hard to stack them. They're not like Legos. They're rings.
They're rings. Rings are circular. They stack on top of each other. And if you've got enough of them, they don't need to necessarily stack perfectly like Legos. They just need to be big enough. And then since they're gods, they got all their crazy powers. They could melt it and form. Anyways, that was just...
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. And, like, that's interesting you bring that up. Like, their powers are very... human?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like the Greeks. Like, but it kind of is. I mean, I guess they fly around, or they have shoes that help them fly, or chariots and things of that nature. But, like, Odin's power is, like, wisdom. I mean, that's, like, a very human type thing. Thor's, I mean, he's super, super strong. He seems like the most, like, godlike. Like, where he has a power that... But humans could also attain strength, right? That's attainable to a point. Wisdom is attainable to a point.
But Odin supposedly knows all.
Yeah.
But he keeps getting duped.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, how do you not see this coming?
Yeah, I've got a lot of questions about that.
Unless Loki throws him off, I don't know. But yeah, if he knows all and can see all with one eye. So anyway, they decided it'd take too long, and they're like mulling it over, and then one day a stranger arrives and offers to build them the wall that they want in exchange for Freya, the sun, and the moon. Freya's hand in marriage. And they didn't really want to do it because they were concerned based on, like, his parameters. But Loki's like, look, we'll make it so hard for him that he can't possibly accomplish it, but he'll get it started, and then we just have to finish it, so it'll save us time, right? So he's like, and then we keep the sun and the moon and Freya, and everybody's happy. So they go back and they say, all right, you get 1 season to build the wall, and no one can help you, which seems an impossibility. impossible task. But the man agrees, but asks for one condition: if he can have his horse help haul the stone. And they're like, yeah, no problem. And they swore an oath on the armband that you have a problem with. And
I don't have a problem with it. I'm just saying,
yeah.
why couldn't they just use it?
And Odin's spear. And Freya's like super pissed. She's like, you guys are fucking idiots. Like, you shouldn't be, giving me up that way. So the man, he gets to work really quick, and he starts building this wall very quickly because the horse can pull a lot of stones, and he digs really fast, and he comes back every night or every morning with like a shit ton of rocks. And they're getting concerned now. Like, it's to the point where this dude's gonna do it. So they meet to discuss what's going on and what they're gonna try to do to stop it. And Freya's just like, you know what? Double middle fingers to all of you. If this happens, then the man responsible for this needs to be killed, which is Loki, because he's the one who suggested it. And he's not really happy about dying. So he needs to come up with a plan. He's like, bam, got it. I know what to do. So the dude always goes at night to get the rocks, and then he comes in the morning. And at the end of the night, or end of the day, he calls his horse, but his horse doesn't come. Oh, man, am I stealing your thunder here?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so the man realizes his horse is being enticed by a chestnut mare. He's got a nice stallion. And he tries to get it to come back, but all of a sudden the mare, like, tantalizes the stallion so much they run off into the woods and don't come back. So the man's like, alright, I gotta go do this myself. So he returns, but he only has 10 blocks and he needs 20 to finish it. And he gets pissed off because the gods are gloating, as they do, which is not very humble of a god.
No, that's one of the things that's weird. Just their sort of scorn for everything going on around them. Like, they're assholes of the highest order. And it's weird that there's this pantheon that's, air quotes, worshipped for being just being a bunch of cunts.
Yeah.
Like, every story has been them, like, thus far has been them.
It's like a group of friends going to a bar and just causing a ruckus.
Yeah, but they got superpowers.
Yeah.
Undefined superpowers, but superpowers nonetheless.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe we'll get to some superpowers. Maybe Neil Gaiman take some notes. Yeah. Give me some superpowers. Maybe they're not there. I don't remember.
Oh. See, I haven't been reading.
It's been a long time since I read this book.
Yeah, I haven't been reading ahead, so I don't know all the nuances of the tales.
Neither have I. I'm experiencing it with you. So
for the second time.
For the second
just like
time.
the first.
I still love it. So the dude gets super pissed off, and all of a sudden he transforms into a troll or giant. And they're like, "What?" And he accuses them of cheating, but then they find out he was cheating. But Thor just came back to lay the smackdown.
To open a can of whoop ass.
On his candy ass. With the people's elbow.
See, like,
or the people's hammer, I guess. Any more rock references? I can keep going all night.
No, like, that's one of the big instances of, like, Odin is supposed to know all. He fucking cut out his eyes so he would know everything. And then he is, like, bamboozled that the stranger's a giant.
Maybe he knew it was going to happen and he was just playing along.
Because he wanted to trick him into building him the
Maybe
wall?
he wanted to see what his friends would do.
I
don't know, man. I don't know.
So Odin is as much of a trickster as Loki, but he's like...
But he's not.
He's on the sly.
Yeah,
He's a DL.
Okay, but... Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I should read that other book while I'm, like, reading this book. But I gotta finish Dune right quick.
No, read them in tandem. Couldn't you just...
I mean, I'm reading comic books and this and that. I gotta keep it all straight, my man.
But this is...
It's pretty light reading.
Yeah, light.
Yeah.
And there's probably like footnotes or whatever that you could read the original, whatever poem he's like stealing this from or using to build it.
Here's the deal: that other Norse mythology book, I think, like Gaiman's simplifying these, like very, 100%. Very, to make it light reading, to make it fun, to bring interest to it. From what I like read of excerpts of that book, like there's like hundreds of pages on Odin. Maybe not hundreds, but there's like a really big chunk on Odin. And also, like, I don't want to spoil some of the stories because, like, maybe there's more of those in here, and I want to, like, freshly see them with you. So, anyway, I don't know.
I'm touched.
Well, not like that. I'm just saying, like... yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying. I don't know. So, anyway, Thor takes out the giant, and they have their wall. They just have to do the last 10 bricks. But the kicker is Loki was not seen for some time. And when he returned, he had a gray foal with him that followed him around everywhere as if he were his mother. Wink, wink, nod, nod. But the foal... This is fucked up, too. The foal had 8 legs. 8 fucking legs. It's like the Octohorse.
Yes. Slipnir?
Yep. And it was given to Odin, and it was the fastest and strongest horse around. And I'd love to see that because I want to see 8 legs moving.
There's pictures of it.
I know, but I want to see it in real life.
Real life.
Anyway, and Loki got very upset whenever anyone mentioned it. So basically, he got fucked by a horse.
Yeah, which is hilarious.
Hilarious. See, that's the thing. Like... There's a lot of comical elements to this stuff. But if you look at it, maybe it was a form of entertainment. You know? You learn how your world was created. You have some explanation. You have a couple laughs. You have a couple meads. You go kill some people. You go to Valhalla. You go to hell. Whatever. What, Oscar? So yeah, that's that one. I didn't have any questions on it, though. Like, I felt it was a very just like, this is what happened. Where is this wall, do you think?
Isn't it around Asgard?
Well, yeah, I know, but where... Well, I guess I could look up where is Asgard, but...
It's outside of Midgard. It's on the 9th branch of the world tree.
Oh, it's in the sky.
Yeah.
All right. I guess I'm not gonna
Have you never seen a Marvel movie?
Nope.
Seriously?
I mean, I've seen some... Oh, I watched Guardians of the Galaxy. That one's badass. And I watched Endgame, even though I never saw the previous ones. I think I did. That's the one with the purple dude with the glove, right?
Thanos?
Thanos, thank you. I love comics.
No sarcasm in that.
Well, no, I do. I apparently can't pull shit up. Man, Asgard looks pretty cool, though.
I was actually... I do have some questions on, like, the morals of this story that I think they might be trying to insinuate. But do you know where that conversation... Oh, it's maybe right here. I really liked Freya... when they were talking about like what would happen if like he was actually a giant, and if the stranger actually finished the wall, she's like, I will marry him and follow him back to Jotunheim, and it will be interesting to see whom I hate more, him for taking me away, or for all of you for giving me to him. I thought that was funny, where she's just like, you know what? Fuck y'all. It could be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of scorn there. That's for sure. Like, I don't get it. Maybe this is a lesson in listening to the woman's intuition.
Yeah, because she was strongly against this the whole time.
Right.
Or that you shouldn't force the whole what's it called, the wedding present, like the barter system. like how it used to be, where you like buy your wife by giving, like maybe that's a bad system. Could be one possibility. Or I know they didn't have resumes back in the day, but don't lie on your resume, because the giant's like, oh yeah, I'm just a regular person trying to help you out. Or it could be, don't take help without, don't take help from strangers, because it could be a ruse, it could be a con.
No, the giant just needs to come back with some candy or something like that.
Or it could be, don't try to con work out of your employees, or you'll get fucked by a horse.
I don't know. Last time I was like, I asked you if there was like a moral or something like that, and you're like, no, I think it's just a creation story, and I'm just like, or it's how the gods got their treasures, and I was like, maybe this is just like entertainment, like I said before, like.
Oh yeah, well I'm going for stretches on these things.
Well, I mean, yeah, no, I mean, I don't really fear getting fucked by a horse anytime soon, but
there's been a very reoccurring theme on this episode.
There's a lot of horse fuckery.
And there's about to be more.
Love animals, by the way. Never would do that to an animal.
Oh, that's a weird way to phrase that. What? Started out.
Just saying.
No, but going back to the weapons thing, it could have been about like, especially with entry, like you can't dissuade a master from perfecting their craft despite how hard you try. And maybe don't propose challenges that you're like, don't make an agreement that you're not willing to keep. Unless, of course, you're a trickster fucker and you can. Oh, that's pulling. I haven't really thought. Oh, yeah.
Type things. Yeah, there's that. There's also like a sense of like. No, not even really that. I don't know. Like, I feel like we've kind of flipped the tables a little bit. Because, like, you've taken maybe there are morals in this, and I'm like, nah, maybe there's not.
Oh, no, dude, I'm pulling deep. Yeah. I'm digging deep trying to find this shit.
They are fun stories, though.
Well, no, that's fun. Then that's what you had said, that they were they maybe are more meant for entertainment, which... Because this is like one big epic poem, right?
Yep.
So it would be the same as the Odyssey? Or the Iliad?
Yeah, well, I mean, the Iliad is the recounting of the war, the Trojan War.
Yeah.
And the Odyssey is Odysseus' aftermath of that. But there's like... yeah, no, there's really not morals in it. It's just his epic journey.
Right, which is kind of the point. You were just saying that there were morals and stuff in these stories, in these mythological stories, the equivalent to what there was in the Bible. And that's what I was trying to extrapolate from them. But just recently, because this is based, Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology is based on that big epic poem.
The Poetic Edda.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it's called?
That's one of them. There's the Poetic Edda, and then there's, I can't remember the other one. I apologize.
Well, that's the thing is that we're just looking at these small chunks pared down to be more easily digestible in a much larger overarching story that builds upon itself.
I get that. The Saga of the Volsungs. I think there is a human element to wanting to understand how we came to be. And I think that that is why these things are here, or they were used to explain phenomena or things that happen, like the seasons or the how the earth rotate. I don't not rotates, but like just how things work in the world. They were, but they were also a form of entertainment because I mean, they didn't have the old face space and TVs and everything, obviously.
Smartphones.
So, yeah, you know, and
no, I get
that's
that.
their best stab at it. But like, I think the Bible did that, but then they also wanted to instill these things that I think up until then that wasn't an important thing to them.
Well, no, because like the Greek mythology stuff has a lot of those underpinning moral stuff. Like the one I can remember the most currently is the story of Narcissist.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the gods, yes, and you got, you know, Achilles heel. There's different things. Like I get that it's there. Maybe it is there in here, and we just don't see it. We just see the entertaining stuff.
Yeah,
Right
well, I'm trying to extrapolate, man.
No, I get that. I don't know that it's there, especially the next one. Like
Yeah.
the next, well.
Oh no, I got shit. I got
don't
shit.
bite the hand that. No,
I got
just
shit.
kidding. All right, so this is you. This is all you, man.
All right, but I'm gonna take Oscar out because he's panting like a fool.
All right, well, pause her.
Are you sure you're ready?
Yep, do it.
All right. So the second story is called The Children of Loki. So, Loki, the twisted OG DJ trickster. Loki, masterfully spinning mischievous beats with the dourest of drops. Loki, whom be the bane and boon of all the gods' toys and woes, was likewise a prolific player of prodigious persuasion, able to woo celestial, mortal, beast, and giant with equal ease as he so pleased. One wonders how hung was all Odin's old son. Odin shivered at Munin's recanting cause of his son's recent equine eloping exploits. Hugin pecked out the pondery that ruined the old gods reminiscing. How proper 'twas it to straddle the eight-legged steed slept near. A momentary pause as the two ravens' calls bound round the halls. Had he even considered his grandson's consent? What if the warriors of Valhalla considered his kink a shame? Who's to blame? Yet here's the bane. 'Twas from a dreamscape horror of Loki's most recent conquest that had feverishly forced the Allfather forth into a pool of his own cool sweat and lukewarm urine. Volatile and virile was the seed that brewed in Loki's loin. How potent an orgasm must he erupt to make Ragnarok quake? Three kinfolk did the forked-tongued spectre shepherd with the fertile field. Oh, Jesus Christ, this is too much of a tongue twister for me. This is what I was talking about. Like, this is the second time I've read it out loud, so I don't have the pathways engraved. Three kinfolk did the forked-tongued spectre shepherd within the fertile field of Agroboda. That's her name, more or less. Three bastard-blighted godlings grown in his mistress's giantess womb. Three magnificent monsters of ghoulish genetics. Jormungandr, Hel, and fearsome Fenrir. Whoa! Hey, hold, one might proclaim. What of the brood boar of Loki's estranged whore wore low in the grounds of the Solon stranger's pristine new walls? Munin murmurs 'tis moot to muse on a missive minutely mentioned. Hugin fed the dread thread that dithered in Odin's head. Bind the monsters. Bind them with sea and soil, with duty and oath, with fetters and chains. See? Here's the bewildering belief that fueled the Lord of the Slain's vain vendetta. He heard his death, heard his gallows call, Heard the ropes whisper his secret name. He shivered. His end. Mortality. Immolation of immortality. A blasphemous bitch slap of odious proportions which, shit, let's face it, these pompous asshole gods must face in lieu of their views an utter revile toward properly adhering to vows and oaths sworn. The first child's tale of which is not so vile. It might make one smile. A nostalgic Munion-intoned trip of fishing, of worm, of hook, of bobber bobbing, of bobber no longer bobbing, of the line pulled taut, of the struggle, of the effort, of the joy, of the confusion, of a diminutive deism of the deeps, of the tiny ripples. So too is Jormungandr cast back into the sea to gnaw on its own tail with its own venomous fangs. The second child was beautiful. The second child was repulsive. She was alive. She was dead. She hated the living. She loved the dead. She was called Hell, and for her politeness they sent her to Hell. Hell is where the party's at, where the dishonorably deceased dance and jive and boogie-woogie all night long in the disco flames of Lady Hell's hellacious harmonics, until the final beat drops and the record stops and Ragnarok pops. The third child, you may have heard, is the most tragic tale ever told. It'll make you cry and understand why Odin must die. Fearsome Fenrir had not always been such a dangerous demeanor of ravishly ill repute. Once the great wolf, he was a puppy, with a wagging tail and a lolling tongue that licked the faces of the friends that saved him and his siblings from the frigid heights of Jotunheim. He'd not feared for himself, for his fur was thick and warm, but his brother was a serpent, and his sister's duality would be unified should her lovely pale flesh be consumed by frost. He knew he needed to grow large enough to be able to cover them both, but there was not enough food to share amongst them. Father had left them without a word. Mother followed soon after. Then his new friends, Tyr and Thor, came to take him on the grandest walk ever. They took him to Asgard after finding proper places to keep his siblings safe from the torments of the world. He thanked Odin in the old Norse tongue he'd learned just to let his friends know how much he loved them. Every day his best friend Tyr came and fed him a feast of delicacies that swelled his belly to bursting. He salivated every night, dreaming for a larger stomach to contain all his inbound treats. The greatest of games was when all his friends came to test his mighty strength, for they knew of his awesomeness. They clapped and cheered, hooted and hollered, smiled and laughed, as each chain link snapped under the strain of his magnificent muscles. Yet, little by little, as if in proportion to how small they appeared to his ever-growing eyes and ears, he saw less smiles and heard fewer cheers. It hurt that his friends had grown bored with the tricks they had taught him. Or was it that they couldn't find big enough toys for him to break? His only comfort was Tyr, who would console him with food and pets and a promise that the others would find a better way to play with him. The day finally came when they brought the shiny new chains they'd called Dromi, and claimed he'd be the greatest and bestest boy who ever was if he could only break free. Fenrir knew they meant it, for the chains gloriously glittered with starlight. He'd showed them how great his love for them was and how thankful he was for such a glorious home with good food and fantastic friends. He would lay down his life to protect them as they protected him and his siblings. But when he won the game and howled his victory, he saw how his friends truly felt. They looked at him with the same eyes of the little pigs standing in the ruins of their lives. He now knew his friends were scared of his unyielding love for them. Tyr no longer brought food. No one came to pet him. He wept. Fenrir knew the next time the gods came to play, it would not be for fun. He was shocked, though, when the gods came back with ribbon and asked him to play dress-up. It was a strange request for sure, one Fenrir wanted his best friend with him to endure. Tyr pet Fenrir with his good right hand and promised him it would be all right. He tried to enjoy this new variation of the old game, but the rules were unfair, and the gods' laughter was cruel. Suddenly, the ribbon got too tight that Fenrir couldn't breathe, and he accidentally bit off his friend's hand. He'd not meant to hurt Tyr. He tried to explain, but the gods were furious some half-breed mutt had hurt one of their own. And as old mutts are dealt with at the end, the gods took him down by the river to slumber for eternity. Well, at least until the rock and rolling Ragnarok rages.
Damn. That's like in the form of the poems that these were derived from. All right, well that's it. No, I'm kidding. I don't know what to do.
All right, well, like my thing was like the story of the Fenrir. Like it seems very, very twisted.
Yeah. Again.
Well, cause like I cast it from like his point of view and how he thought the whole situation was going.
Right. Because yeah, I mean, Tyr did tell him to bite his hand off mainly because those were the rules, right? But like from his point of view, definitely for sure, dude, that was awesome. I don't. Maybe you should have wrote the book.
Well, no, that was the. I'm not like Gaiman is a way better writer than I am, but this book isn't showing his strengths in the same way as like Sandman did or American Gods does.
I would agree. What's the other one? Good Omens was fucking awesome.
But he did that with Terry Patrick, so it was a Fuse thing. But he did the Graveyard book.
Yeah, I haven't read that one yet.
And that's really good.
Boys, that's really good too. But that kind of ties into the American Gods thing. Yeah.
But like that goes back to the whole like Odin as the Allfather and knowing everything, and like Fenrir didn't have any animosity towards him. He only had animosity towards them because they deceived him and broke their promise to him.
Yeah, I was kind of curious about that too, as to why they decided one day he was a threat. Like, it doesn't really ever talk about that, and unless Odin saw something and decided he was a threat, I don't. But that's the vague part.
No, in here he says that he had a dream.
Oh yeah, that's right. That all three of the kids were gonna be their demise.
Yeah. And like I don't know what Jotun or fucking Jormungandr, the serpent, the Midgar serpent does. But I know that hell brings the army of the undead to the war under Loki's banner. I don't know why or how, but in like the cursory glances of stuff I was looking up, that's what she does.
I mean, it makes sense. If it's her kid. And Loki, it says in the beginning, Loki's not going with them as far as the flag. He'll be on the opposite side.
Right. But so I have a question in that, like, is Loki, like, is there a third party playing and tricking or weaving these things that Loki does? Because, like, everything Loki is doing is leading towards Ragnarok, to the end, to this great war. But I'm wondering if it's just he's got, like, the best fucking brew in the world that he just stumbles into, like, fucking destroying everything, or if there was, like, a third entity that hasn't been explained.
Not that I know of. But, I mean, I don't know, that's the... He kind of represents the folly of humans.
Loki does?
In a sense, yeah. He's trying to cut corners. He's trying to do things the easy way. And it's ultimately, like you said, he's leading them down a path of destruction. It could be a sense of a cautionary
tale.
Yeah.
All of it? They wrote a giant ass fucking poem to just be a cautionary tale?
I don't know. I'm just throwing shit out there, man. I don't know. There's like I get your questions as far as like if he's the all father and all knowing, but like there's different variations of that in stories and mythology and all sorts of stuff where like maybe you see a bit in piece here and there, but that's enough to say you know all. I don't know.
Well, no, it's just the All Father in this depiction is much different than the Odin in Dresden and in American Gods.
Right.
Like in this one, he seems more like a bumbling buffoon who's just kind of like, oh shit, this thing's happening. We gotta maybe do something. Where in American Gods, he changes who is being worshipped by tricking fucking everyone into getting into a giant confrontation. In Dresden, he's helping facilitate all the decisions Harry needs to make to become the perfect Starborn tool.
I don't know if those stories necessarily are a great representation though, because that's, you know, being what they are, they could be extrapolating on and emphasizing certain parts of Odin's personality traits, his mannerisms, taking bits and pieces of stories and blowing them up larger than life. Like, that's kind of like when we were talking, like, it's pretty cool in Dresden where you realize that Odin is also Santa Claus, right? And you start going down that hole, and then you realize, well, yeah, he is in a sense, but not in the sense that Butcher's depicting him in Dresden, right? Like, I don't know why I brought it up because I can't actually recall, but there's like symbolism there that is completely left out in Dresden stuff. Because I was like, holy shit, this is fascinating. I never had done enough research to know that. It hadn't come up. It doesn't come up in this book. Like, I by no means am an expert in this, but I find it extremely fascinating. But like you start reading stuff and like those works of fiction are pulling bits and pieces, and maybe that's the effect that Gaiman was going for. Maybe this is like almost like a take on a very serious thing made into a comedy. You know, maybe that's what he was trying to do, is pull the humor out of this stuff. I guess it depends on the author's intent.
But is it really that funny?
I mean, dude got fucked by a horse.
That's extrapolation.
I mean,
and insinuation.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's kind of the funny part of it, and like the gods acting like a bunch of like basically they're running around acting like teenagers vandalizing Asgard. Like they're just doing whatever the fuck they want.
Okay, fair enough point.
I'm you know what I mean though? Like
that had been my.
That's like probably the best way to put it. I mean, the bar was an analogy, but like they literally are just like teenagers. Like they're just like, yeah, you know, fuck this. Double middle fingers to you. And they're like playing tricks on each other and like taking like they're not taking into consideration like they think about the consequences, but then they're like, "Nah, we're good." You know, like Loki never has to push that hard to get him to go down that road.
That
like
is true.
It's not a fight. It's usually like, "Oh, Loki, you trick us every time, but we're gonna do it again." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Which, then, like I said, maybe I, in my free time, because I have tons of it, maybe I should just start looking and seeing like how some of these. I know there was like when we were sitting at the kitchen table the one night and just looking at that book and just reading some of the poems. That's why like your thing reminds me more more of that. Like, but you also took a fun take on it, like in the tone of this book, which I honestly think, like in his intro, he talks about his fascination with it, and I honestly think this is something. I don't know what his intent was. I suppose I could give him a call, see if he'll call me back, but
He used to live in Wisconsin.
it seems to me like he's trying to. Gaiman is trying to bring a very serious topic that he's very serious. I don't know. I guess I don't know how serious it is, but a topic, and bringing it to the masses that they would consume it.
Yeah.
So maybe they could share in the joy. Which,
dense topic.
There we go. That's perfect. Like, you know, the Odyssey that I saw and consumed on TV, on the TV miniseries, and the things that I read when I was a kid is a lot different than when I read the Odyssey, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's very dense. It's not as straightforward as they make it. But that gets people interested in it. And that's half the battle with people nowadays.
Yeah. So this is just like bite-sized mythology.
I think so.
For the digital age.
I didn't reread his little intro again when we started reading this, but like there's like a 5-7 page thing where he talks about like why he did this and how interested he was and influences, and I remember when I read it the first time, like I feel like it was very much a, hey, this is something I've always wanted to do because I want other people to enjoy the stories that I enjoyed in a way that you can understand it. Because I've seen a lot of just looking for books on this type of stuff, and like looking at reviews on the Poetic Edda where a lot of this stuff is derived from. Like, people are like, you got to do some thinking to get through it and just understand it.
Those old texts.
Yeah. No, it's like the Odyssey. I mean, there's a reason you read the Odyssey in high school.
Because the teachers are lazy.
Well, I'm just...
No, because you know how easy it is? You have to make the syllabus once. Dude, I was a teacher. I know how this works. If you can craft a really good class, then you just have to do that every single time. And there's no effort after the fact.
But in the public school system, there are standards that you need to meet, and there are certain criteria that you need to teach. And those it's like Shakespeare. Like, I hate that shit, but we had to read it because that was part of something you had to learn. You had to be exposed to it. There's a reason for it.
I'm not saying I like Shakespeare. I'm not saying I don't like Shakespeare. But if you do sit down and you memorize like a soliloquy, it's probably any poem. Like, it helps your mind quite a lot.
Yeah. Well, and there's purpose. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a reason that the Odyssey is taught in school. Like, there's a reason you have to read that.
You have to sit and struggle to derive meaning from archaic word structuring and poetic meter that isn't used anymore.
You could argue the school systems and the lack of emphasis on education is maybe why we got to where we got to today. I'm just saying, like...
Folks, Jeremy for president.
Yeah.
2024.
Okay. I'm just saying... I don't know if I'm old enough. Don't you gotta be 40?
No, it's 35.
Oh, well, then I'm
like,
good.
Shit, dude, I was thinking about it. I was thinking, if we start now, by the time... Like, if we hit the road now, by the time the election occurs... We will be of age.
And you have to try to, you mean having to drive or derive meaning from ancient texts? Yes, you need to be able to learn to think in different ways.
Yeah, I was being kind of like facetious.
Yeah, no, and I picked up on that.
But I agree with you.
That's exactly the point, and that's why that stuff is there. And I think this is Gaiman saying, hey, this is something really cool. Like, I'm sure it sparked something in other people, too.
Yeah, like, whatever I crafted, I would not have ever crafted if I had not read this version of the story.
Right. Like, it was super cool.
So thanks, Gaiman.
Yeah, it was super cool. Like, you should write that down.
I do have it written down.
You should hold on to that.
Yeah. Oh, well, actually, that was like draft number 1.
Yeah, I mean,
like I don't like the ending so much. I think it was supposed to have a different kind of a thing.
I'm just saying that was very well done. And yeah.
Hey, that's the first bit of writing I've shared with
Oh yeah. And quite
anyone
some time.
in a long. Well, Jen got to hear it first. I apologize.
I don't care.
But yeah, this is, I don't know. It was fun.
Did she like it?
Yeah, but I read it way worse.
Oh. Well, I mean, that was your first go.
Yeah, like, I was like reading it way too fast, and like I was saying, because it was the first time I read it, I don't have all the correct pauses and shit in there, and I don't have the words. Like, there are probably some words in there that need to be changed, because there's too much stuttering in it. And emoliate, I was gonna ask you, what does emoliate mean? I'm pretty sure it means to like melt down and be turned into nothing. Because if emoliate doesn't work, then I'd have to use incinerate. But emoliate and mortal, they have the same beginning word letters, so it kind of fits cooler.
To make soft or smooth. To soften or make effeminate.
Yeah, so then to emoliate immortality.
To make weak, ineffective.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it works 100%.
Yeah. Just go with Merriam-Webster. See, I was looking at Free Dictionary and we're like, you go to Merriam-Webster, you get what you need. Because they publish an actual book. Oh, see, it's the Wiktionary. The Wiktionary.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the Free Dictionary is called the Wiktionary. And I can edit it.
Yeah. Oh, that was when we were talking about the Department of Truth and wiki stuff, there was a kid, I don't remember what language. It was some like really obscure like I'll say Welsh. I don't know if it is Welsh, but like some weird not weird, some language in Britain and that isle that isn't very commonly spoken. Like, there aren't many texts written about it, but some kid had decided to like go and edit the entire Wikipedia page with like slang that he thought sort of sounded like it would be spoken with that accent, even though it is a proper dialect with its own vocabulary and rules. And he had done it for like 10 years. And people finally caught on that he had been fucking pulling a fast one over everyone. Like, he had hundreds of thousands of edits on it. Like, he was the only one on that page editing it.
Case and point.
Right, yeah.
It's
hilarious, but very sad at the same time.
Right.
Now they fixed it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, you can't do that in a book. And clearly, like, there are checks and balances on the internet. Like, I'm not saying that I did say it was the Wild West, but there are checks and balances. There's some towns out in the Wild West that keep order and rule. But, like, for the most part, like, I can go buy a webpage and just start posting stuff. I've actually toyed with it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What were you gonna post? Do you have like a cool actual manifesto with like Bigfoot?
Not
and your
yet.
World domination schemes? Like you and Bigfoot on a bottle cap raft?
Not yet, but like, so I got that 77 comic on whatever day that was that I texted you. And like, one of the art styles is like really, really shitty. Like, I could draw better. And I'm like, this motherfucker got published. Why can't I get published? And I'm like, I could post stuff on the internet. The internet's free. And if I make it silly enough, like, I don't think anyone would take it as threatening. And it might be fun.
You can't guarantee that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's kind of scary. That is one of my reservations is like, what if somebody, cause like I want to do it for fun, but like I almost want to do like a fake, it is Bigfoot, crypto, conspiracy theory. Like I want to make almost like a weekly world news, but like there's like this cool like cut and paste aspect to the the comic book. So it looks like he drew on a bunch of pieces of paper and then like cut and pasted and like did all this stuff and put pencil lines in and markers, and it's like a very mixed media thing, and it looks super cool. And I've always liked mixed media. Like I did that pretty cool Bill Gates $1 million bill in high school. You remember that?
No.
Dude, the thing was fucking huge. And like I painted like a Simpsons-esque Bill Gates on a computer board or some circuit board type thing. And
do you still have it?
no, I was thinking about it today. I wish I would have held on to it. Like before I moved out of my mom's house, I chucked a bunch of art that I really liked and I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass for.
Dude, redo it.
I could, but at the time it was just like
it wouldn't have the same teenage angst.
Yeah, cuz it was really my punk rock thing and like fuck the system and fuck the corporations, and it was like a mockery of that. Like instead of in God we trust, it was like in Microsoft we trust, and like just a commentary on what the world that I don't know, it wasn't even what it is now. And I already was kind of saying like, you know, the tech is going to rule the world and it's going to change us. And anyway, I probably didn't even put that much thought into it at the time. But my point is I like mixed media. So I was
I do have a question though, because like we grew up in a point in time in which like punk was huge and like rebelling against the norm was kind of a thing. And this is one of the things I don't get. Like every generation that grows up is rebelling against like the prior generation, but we seem to just be getting stuck deeper and deeper into the same never-ending spiral of stupidity that the prior generation had propagated.
Part of it, in my take, in my opinion, part of it is the fact that the generation we were rebelling against is still very much in control of things.
Oh, so we gotta.
So like,
but it seems like we've, I don't know, cowled. Is that the right word? Like
some people do.
To it and just abide by it.
Right. Well, that's childhood. That's all of a sudden you realize like there's certain responsibilities, but like I still rail against it in my own not as loud way as I used to. Not that I was even that loud, but like I still hold. I mean, not volume wise. I know I'm loud, but like. There's certain things you have to do as an adult, and it sucks. You know, if I could run around and do whatever I wanted all day and work a part-time job and be able, like, I'd love that, but like.
Yeah, but it sucks because there are actually people who do that, but
right.
They don't do anything productive with that ability.
Well, I think that's the trap. Like, that's the trap you fall into, right? So, like, just my opinion. So, like, there's a really weird difference between, like, my parents and their parents. So, like, I know for a fact, like I can tell you what my grandpa did the entire time he worked, his working life, Monday through Friday. He got up, he ate breakfast, read the paper or whatever, watched the news, went to work, came home, had a beer, watched TV, went to bed, and repeated the process. Not to say he didn't have hobbies and do stuff, but like my mom, right? Very much similar. But like us, like I still feel like a kid and I'm 33 years old and I'm like sitting in a room with models and games and fucking a cardboard cutout of a Jawa and like I'm literally I have a watercolor painting of Bigfoot pulling Nessie in a wagon. Like I feel very much like a kid and I don't think like previous generations didn't do that. Or I'm not previous. Yeah, previous. Sorry.
Yeah. It's late.
Yeah.
It's like 1:30.
Previous generations didn't do that. Like it's also like you can see there's been changes like they didn't talk about mental illness. The way special needs kids are treated is differently. Like there's progression and I don't think it's an evolution thing, but you could kind of say, "Hey, we're evolving as a people and there's different accepted norms." Like there's a lot of people like who would be like, "Dude, you're wasting your time. You should be working. Work, 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 work." Like that's my grandpa. He's like, "You got to be doing something." If he wasn't working at his job, he was working on the farm. If he wasn't doing that, he was doing something that got him something out of it. I get nothing out of these models other than satisfaction, which is enough for me. But why didn't he continue to do things
But
that he did as a kid?
wasn't he getting satisfaction out of
Right.
working?
Right. I agree.
But it just depends on what you're deriving satisfaction from.
Right. Like there's people they can go home and watch TV every night and be happy. Like that's all they want to do. But I don't understand that. And I feel like our generation's different. Like there's things that we do that our parents at our age would not have done or our grandparents at our age would not have done.
Like have a cardboard cutout of a Jawa.
Right. Well, and there's things like we're podcasting. That didn't
Right.
even exist. Like there's things like
But like talk
there's
radio
things
did.
right, but not
And
every
people had ham radios.
but you're not broadcasting like you are. And there are people who are very avid with ham radio, but ham radio has a lot of rules.
Yeah. Well, wasn't there? Well, the concept of whatever ufology was. There was that guy who like had his own.
Right. Which I think was a
Show.
rarity. But I also think that was
But
set
it might
in the
not
90s.
have been. Oh.
Where that stuff was starting to happen. Like Tom Green and having his own like closed circuit TV access, like you could do things.
Show. It's not the Green
You
Tom
know,
show.
like there's things that we do now because of opportunity. It's weird in my mind. And you rail against that, right? Like I'm not fucking working 9 to 5. I don't need to do that. I don't need to go to school for business. I'm going to school for music. Like you rail against this shit, and then some of it you're like, oh fuck, yeah, they might have been right about that one, or oh fuck, I have to do this to survive, right? Because you got your what was the thing? The
Maslow's
pyramid.
hierarchy.
Thank you, hierarchy. There's things that you need or you got to do, and some of them are subjective, but like it's interesting. Like if you look at like what people did for recreation, I feel like our generation. It's okay to still be a kid.
But you don't think that the definition of kid has shifted? Because there's always been a thing about, like, I don't know how it is with women, but, like, when boys go out, or when men go out to the bars, they go out to be boys again.
Maybe that's it.
Like, because there's a guy I work with who, like, that's why he goes to the bar, just to, like, act like a fool, to not take shit seriously.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just a matter of perspective. Maybe they are still being kids.
But
doesn't look like kids to us.
They just dress nicer. They dress it up nicer.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a stylistic thing, right?
But like,
and I'm railing against that till the day I die.
But like, a big thing, I don't know, as a trope, kind of, it's that people will have a car in their garage they're always fixing up. But they never actually really use it. But they have this car that they're always tinkering with, which could kind of be the same thing as having models, except one of them is much more expensive than the other.
Right.
But I'm not sure which one that is.
The car. No, the car. Because I've been looking at a car.
Oh, yeah.
But like, yeah, man, I want to go fast. I told you that.
Go faster, faster. Can you, when you do get your car, can you paint it blue?
No, I was gonna go green, but that would be pretty cool.
With
maybe
blue with some like white stripes and maybe like a little bit of red.
Sonic's head on the hood.
Well, no, you paint it blue with like a white stripe and then you put red tires on it.
Red
and a gold cub or whatever they're called, hubcaps. Or gold tires. That would probably be better.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, fair point. I mean, I can try. I don't know that I can really get gold tires.
And your horn. It just has to be... Yeah, custom. Gotta go fast. Gotta go faster, faster.
Yeah, I mean, you're right.
Dude, fuck yeah, that would be so dope.
Maybe that's what it is, though, a matter of perspective and how the norms change.
Or maybe... I don't know, because we don't, like, technically know what the prior generations, like, before our grandparents were doing. Like, obviously now, like, you can look around and see, like, this is what we did, and when you, like, go to when you were growing up in your parents' home and you went to your grandparents' home, you, like, saw what kind of things they had hanging on their walls and their hobbies and shit, and like maybe it's I don't know, yeah, that is weird, cause like pop culture is a thing that's just like pervasive in like everyone's lives now,
and that wasn't the case,
but it was kind of, maybe they just didn't have access to it to the same degree that we do, like, cause they had favorite musicians, and they had like, cause that's a trope, at least in Guardians of the Galaxy, where like Peter Quill's mom like had like the mixtapes, like all the greatest hits.
Maybe it's an exposure thing. We're exposed to more.
Because there's just more to consume.
Right. There's more exposure in that aspect. Like there's that. You know, you figure they had what, like 4 TV stations. It's interesting, though.
Alright, so you actually want the Maslow's hierarchy?
Sure.
Have you looked it up before?
No.
Oh. Yeah. So it's a pyramid. It starts with the base and slowly works up. The first layer is physiological needs. That would be food, water, warmth, rest. The second one is safety needs. Security and safety. That's pretty redundant. Those first 2 layers are the basic needs. And you have to have the bottom layer to go up to the top layer. The third layer is belongingness and love. So your intimate relationships, your friends. The fourth one is esteem needs. You need to have prestige or a feeling of accomplishment. Those 2 are the philosophical needs. And the head of the pyramid, in which all of these bases are building towards, and you cannot achieve until you have met the bottom criteria, is self-actualization. Achieving one's full potential, including creative activities.
Makes sense.
So maybe
They didn't have that. They didn't have access to that.
Yeah, maybe they hadn't achieved the
self-actualization.
the esteem thing, having prestige or feeling accomplished.
Yeah.
Or they were inundated in the propaganda that it was impossible to find self-actualization. And that once you got your die cast, you were stuck in that lot until you expired. Maybe. I don't know.
Dude, you walked right past it, huh?
Although it seems a little bit easier to do the other stuff you want to do now and get exposure. Because, like, you were rallying against the digital age or whatever.
But it has benefits.
And the perversion that social media instills. But it has benefits.
Yeah, I mean, I still have a phone. I'm still connected.
So. And Ken's like, shit, you sent out your first tweet in 7 years. You fucked up the hashtag.
Tried.
But you tried.
I just got so excited I didn't spell check it. And they don't, like, autocorrect hashtags because people make crazy-ass hashtags.
Yeah, crazy ass hashtags.
But anyway. Oh, yeah, so. You can like and you can subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, which is...
Toucan Rant?
Yeah, just look up Toucan Rant. I'll get the actual specifics later.
I mean, if you're watching this video, you're already here.
Likes are good, and subscriptions, we're working on being more consistent.
And ring that bell! Ding-a-ling-a-ding-dong.
What bell?
You don't know about the bell?
Don't know about the bell.
Are you fucking serious? You don't... Oh!
I don't YouTube a lot.
Alright, so... Like, subscribe, obey. Give us a big thumbs up if you enjoy our content.
Thumbs up, I know.
Give us a big thumbs down if you disagree with anything we say. And throw some things in the comments so we can have a discussion and we can figure out what's what. And click that bell so you can get new notifications when we post a video.
Sweet. Alright, and you can reach us at toucanrant, TWOCANRANT, at gmail.com. Or on the Twitter with the first Twitter tweet from my ass in 7 years.
That's why there was the grammatical error, because you were texting with your bum cheeks. I was giving you an out if you wanted it.
No. At 2_rant. And you can make fun of my spelling error too. Hashtag Toucan Rant. There's only one out there. We need to take it back.
That can be our campaign.
We're taking it back. It's from 3 years ago. Fuck them. There's only one other one. We can do it.
We can be the #1 search result.
All right, so yes, we can be the. Fuck.
We were supposed to hawk that shit at the beginning.
Yeah, I know. I forgot. I wrote it down and then we did my commercial and then I forgot. And I'm sorry, guys. I hope you're still here. You're probably not. Hello? Is anybody out there?
No, great. It's so great though, because like these first episodes, they're gonna be whatever. Like we're having fun. We're figuring out our shit. At some point, we will get a following. And then those motherfuckers will come back to these episodes and, like, get the deep cuts. That's encouraging.
Okay, so for future people, I'm sorry.
No, you're not supposed to say sorry. You're supposed to instill with them some greater wisdom or some very catchy, I don't know, retort.
All right.
It doesn't work because you're on the spot now. But
no,
like,
I got something. Okay, so for all you deep divers out there, don't fuck horses. We're just two toucans with two tall cans who can rant because we got two tall cans. This is Jeremy signing off.
And this is JD. Thanks for listening.
Peace, motherfuckers.